Hey everybody, this is Perch. I was listening to a video that Zach did. It's actually kind of funny because whatever he was doing and recording, it took me a while to figure this out. I'm listening to it in the car, and it's going over the speakers. And wherever he was, there were birds in the background, and I think grackles is what they were. Anyway, there's all this chirping going on, and I was washing my car, so I was in the car going through a car wash because I parked under a tree when a bunch of birds are there and birds shit all over it. And so I am listening to this video and I'm hearing these bird sounds, but I can't tell it's coming from the video. I think it's coming from outside. So I'm like looking out the windows as I'm coming out of this car wash place, like, fuck, they're gonna shit on my car again. I just went through the car wash. It took me like, I don't see any birds, but I can hear them. And it just dawned on me late in the game that it was coming from the video. So, which I say these things because it makes me endearing to be this stupid, right? Anyway, his video was about Eric July, and the premise was basically that and I'm really paraphrasing. He was making a different point. I'm picking a kind of a sentence and making a different point out of it. So this is not a reaction video. You don't need to go listen to that video. You can if you want, but they're not tied together. There's no cinematic universe being established here. The point he was making is that more like people on Twitter were not talking about ISOM, from a positive standpoint, from a like, I wonder what this character would do in this situation. The conversation on Twitter was all the detractors who were like talking about the art or the panels or the writing or any of it. It was basically all negative. And where was the positive? And he was making a point out of that. It got me thinking though. So I'm going to take this away from this. This isn't a video about ISOM either. You didn't see in the thumbnail. I should have put like, I need to put a thumbnail out like ISOM go woke, broke too. And then like a picture of like a big cartoonish, like Eric July with a tear coming out of his eyes. I get like 10,000 views. People, that will get the comments with people clearly haven't listened. Like, why are you shitting on him? It's like, oh, but this video had nothing to do with him. That's just the thumbnail. I've joked about this before where every now and then, it's been a long time, I will do a thumbnail that has nothing to do with the video, and I will get comments like, why you like Kathleen Kennedy, you SJW. And it's amazing to me because so many of I do it for you. Many of you are in on the joke because you actually listen to the video like, this video had nothing to do with that thumbnail. And it's funny to see like what idiots will get triggered and not actually watch something. It's like, thing. But the point I'm going to make is this. And I think it's a big actual problem that comics in general. What are the conversations happening in comics, like on social media, on Twitter, about any comic? Any. Like if you go to the comics discourse on Twitter and you subtract all the cancellation, negativity, something is woke or something is not woke enough, or all of like the people infighting, all that kind of shit. I did another video recently about like the indie comic scene is a dumpster fire, and people are like, what makes you say that? I don't see anything. It's like, Jesus Christ, I'm not on Twitter anymore, and I'm seeing it. But if you go to Twitter and like, here's my challenge to you. What's going on with Venom right now? Venom. Eddie, look, we'll make it more difficult. Well, then we'll make it easier. Eddie Brock. What's Eddie Brock up to right now? Well, once upon a time, you could go on Twitter, you could search Eddie Brock Venom, sort with like newest posts, and there'll be people talking about that shit. There'll be people talking about whatever the current storyline is. I remember this because in the Donny Cates run of Venom, there was this Venom goes to an island, and like there's some hallucinations and some other stuff going on, and Eddie's on an island, and it's a little storyline there. And it like I remember I skipped some issues or something. I wasn't caught up, so I'm like, I need to figure out what's going on in the storyline before I dive in. So I went to Twitter, I searched Eddie Brock Venom, and up came a bunch of people discussing the current issue. It was drawn by Mark Bagley, and that I was like, okay, I'm caught up. Today, right now, Venom is running a storyline, not Eddie Brock now, but who is Venom? Is it Luke Cage? Is it Madam Mask? Is it, some other person? And this is a legit mystery that the comic is producing, with the idea that you will buy the comic and you will speculate with your friends who Venom is, and then they'll reveal it was the Century, or some other crazy ass character, and then you'll be pissed and angry you spent $30 getting to this reveal. Um, but that's not happening. If you look hard enough and if you search enough characters, eventually you'll get to people actually talking about comics. Again, get rid of all the negative stuff. Get rid of the, this should be canceled. Get rid of the, fuck Paul over in the Spider-Man universe. I mean, I'm with you there, but, get rid of that stuff. And then you need to get rid of the self-grandizing, like, I've got a new comic to announce. It's the dream project of a lifetime. It's the third cousin of the Green Goblin, who's going to be the fuchsia goblin. And we're going to really, your mind is not ready for this, and then all the other creators going in, like patting them on the back, like, oh, wow, this is so cool. And by the way, you might go, well, that's because all the comic conversation went over to Blue Sky. Nope. Blue Sky is much worse for this. People aren't, so people aren't talking about any of this shit. And on top of that, like, the other thing you have to filter out is the people who are doing like pure fan fiction. This is where somebody's like, hey, I drew this picture of Rogue and it's my picture. Okay, that's not a comic plot either. And the people are like, hey, I fixed it for you. I changed Rogue to black. What do you think now? And you take those out, and you take the other people are like, you can't make her black. You take that argument all out. You just get to comic plots, people talking about current comic mysteries and plots. There are a lot of them. What's going to happen in the Absolute universe? Where is that all going? Where's Darkseid now? He's somewhere. We got this tease with Booster Gold in the future, and there's a Legion of Superheroes Darkseid version. What's going on with that? That's all just DC and like one tiny event. What do we think about what's going on with, Batman's fight against the Riddler in the current issue of Chip Zdarsky's Batman? What do we think about, I could go down the line of all the different mysteries, all the different things that are going on in comics. And, spoilers, you will find next to zero conversation about comics. Conversation being the plot. So again, the thing that got me thinking about this in Zach's videos is his point was, people aren't actually talking about the comic book. They're, saying they're reading. There's people negative about it, but otherwise it's like people complaining, people defending. Eric July in particular, and kind of whatever he's doing. But he's from what I can tell, I have not sunk in many hours into this, but seems correct. I definitely will say, back when I was on Twitter, those were the conversations. The conversations were not, what's going on in the plot. But this isn't an Eric July problem. I get the point that Zach's trying to make. Again, a different point, different video. It's an all comics problem. Literally, like, what are right now, like the Avengers, Black Cat is working with Kang to steal some shit. What do people think about that? Are they liking it? And I don't want like, Yas Queen, Black, blah, blah. Hey, Black Cat is in a comic and she's my favorite. That time she called MJ with a dump truck ass, that was like the best. And now, this is so cool. Okay, that's not a discussion of the plot either. Like, what do we think they're stealing? Where do we think it's going? What is Kane assembling something? Who's going to come about? Hey, Marvel launched a major summer event, the One World Under Doom. What do you think? What are people thinking about that? Posting a panel and saying, look how stupid this is. Nope, that's not a conversation about the comic. I'm talking about true speculation. I'm talking about comics at any given moment have several mysteries happening within their pages. They have several people like, how do we think, what do we think is going to happen here? What about the Ultimate Universe? What's going to happen with the Maker? How's Peter Parker going to escape Kraven the Hunter? I can go on and on and on. Spider-Man is currently being murdered in the regular universe 9 times or whatever, and he's got to save the world from, big evil forces. Is he going to be able to do it? I don't know. Is this breaking him? Hell, even conversations like Man, at what point is MJ gonna figure out that Paul is a Skrull and just shoot him in the head and then get back together with Peter? I wonder if it could be like that. Like, people aren't even talking about that. The actual comic conversation is next to zero. I think I'm gonna start a new video series where I just talk about the comics that came out today. And I'm like, here's some plots that are going on. Here's some shit that's going on in comics. Where do we think it's going? I know that many of you will be in the comments like, I don't care about that woke shit. Fuck that shit. Okay, fine. But don't you think that's a problem for these big two? And by the way, this isn't me going, you're the problem, you, the fans. This is a publisher problem. Nobody's talking about your product. If I compare it to pro wrestling for a moment, the times when the WWE have been in trouble, meaning the ratings are low, people aren't going to the events, gates are down, everything else, it's when nobody cares about the storylines. When they tried to get Roman Reigns over as a babyface, that was a dark time. People didn't like it. They wanted Daniel Bryan to win that Royal Rumble. He didn't do it. They fucked that up twice. They bring Batista back to win. So, but that's the kind of stuff that you need, like, when the fans are talking about storyline potentials and who's going to do what and who the mystery partner is going to be and all that kind of stuff, people are invested. Well, same thing for comics. There really is next to zero conversation on comics. Everybody's very excited about Skybound doing Transformers and G.I. Joe. I defy you to find, any number of, actual threads talking about those comics. I can tell wrestling is healthier right now because people are speculating on who's going to be in WrestleMania and all that kind of stuff. Nobody is speculating on how the heroes are going to defeat Doctor Doom or what's going to happen with Darkseid over in the Absolute universe, or, how the Justice League is going to tackle their next threat. That's the problem. Am I wrong? Thanks for listening.